We used to know our neighbors. We shared tools, raised each other's kids, and relied on one another. Now, we live 5 feet apart and don't even make eye contact. And it didn't just happen. It was engineered. What if I told you the collapse of community wasn't an accident, but a consequence of turning connection into a product and independence into an idol? This is the death of community, and the system profits from your loneliness. We were sold a story. That freedom meant standing on your own. That maturity meant moving out, building your own empire, and never needing anyone again. But that kind of radical self-sufficiency, it doesn't exist. Humans evolved in tribes, villages, tight-knit networks. Our brains are wired for interdependence, for shared rituals, collective meaning, and mutual survival. But capitalism doesn't thrive on together. It thrives on separate. You're easier to sell to when you're alone. You don't borrow tools, you buy your own. You don't share meals, you meal prep for one. You don't ask your neighbor for help, you subscribe to an app. The market replaces community with convenience, and then sells you a lifestyle to make it feel empowering. But underneath the minimalist branding and curated solitude is something far more hollow: disconnection dressed up as freedom. Even the way we build the world reflects this shift. Suburbs carved us into boxes, each with a fence and a garage. Cities stacked us vertically, isolating people in towers of silence. Walkable neighborhoods gave way to commuter highways and shopping centers. And then came the digital layer: social media, dating apps, on-demand everything. We've never been more connected and never felt more alone. Why? Because convenience isn't the same as closeness. Swipe culture and algorithmic feeds simulate connection, but without the friction, depth, or accountability of real relationships. We replaced neighbors with usernames, friends with followers, communities with content. And the irony? We're lonelier than ever, while the companies mediating our relationships rake in billions. Loneliness used to be a crisis. Now, it's a business opportunity. Every void left by a shrinking community became a market niche. Emotional labor gets outsourced to therapists. Companionship gets sold through apps. Identity gets packaged into brands. You don't need friends. You need subscriptions. You don't need elders. You need podcasts. You don't need rituals. You need morning routines. And the cruel genius of it all: the lonelier you get, the more you consume. Dopamine becomes your social glue, and the market becomes your surrogate family. This is how you extract profit from isolation: by selling back the intimacy people used to get for free. The price of this disconnection is paid in anxiety, depression, and despair. Because we weren't meant to live like this. 100,000 years of evolution didn't prepare us for algorithmic friendships or single-person households. It didn't teach us how to bond through screens or find meaning in likes. And when connection breaks down, so does the self. Freud warned that civilization represses us, but this isn't repression. This is fragmentation. Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death, the despair of not being grounded in anything real. We used to know who we were because we knew where we were, embedded in a web of people and place. Now, we overthink. We panic about our purpose while silently screaming for someone to just see us. None of this was accidental. The rise of capitalism required the breakdown of kinship networks. It needed people to leave the village and move to the city. It needed nuclear families instead of extended ones, renters instead of heirs, consumers instead of communities. It needed your loneliness, because community is self-sustaining. But capitalism feeds on need. So the more isolated you are, the more free you feel, and the more you spend to soothe the ache. We were told this was progress. But what if it's not? What if we didn't evolve toward freedom, but away from each other? The antidote isn't easy. It's not an app. It's not a course. It's not a hack. It's community. Real, messy, slow, inconvenient community. It's knowing your neighbors. It's potlucks instead of Postmates. It's showing up when it's uncomfortable, giving without measuring ROI. It's replacing the marketplace with the commons and reclaiming something sacred, the feeling of being known, not for what you own, but for who you are. This isn't just about lifestyle, it's about survival. Because the opposite of loneliness isn't productivity, it's belonging. If this video made you feel something, good, that ache you feel, that's your humanity waking up. We don't heal by optimizing, we heal by reconnecting. So before you close this tab, ask yourself, when was the last time you reached out? Not online, not for a like, but for real. And if this message matters to you, share it with someone who's been feeling the same.